I had driven this road 100 times before. That long, empty stretch between Alamo and Rachel, Nevada, where the stars burn brighter than anywhere else in America, and the horizon feels like the edge of the world. It was just past midnight when it happened, the night I stopped being certain of anything at all. I was on my way home from a weekend job near the test range, the kind of work where you keep your mouth shut and don't ask what the planes are doing. The radio had gone silent miles ago, and the desert was breathing that dry electric stillness that makes you feel watched. I remember thinking how the sky looked too still, how the moon hung there like a lid pressed down over everything, when a flash burst out of nowhere, white soundless, too bright to be lightning. For a heartbeat the desert was day, and I saw my own truck cast a shadow in the wrong direction. Then darkness snapped back, thicker than before. I pulled over, engine idling. My first thought was aircraft testing, maybe flares, maybe some classified thing. But then the radio hissed and died completely. My cell signal dropped to 0. That's when I noticed the hum. Low at first, like a far-off generator, then deeper, almost inside my chest. I got out, looked up. There was a shape, enormous, hanging motionless above the highway, maybe half a mile away. 3 lights at the corners, forming a triangle. The craft wasn't moving, wasn't making wind or dust, just hanging there like the sky itself had folded. I remember every second because I've replayed it for months since. The air felt thicker, like standing near high voltage. My hair lifted on my arms. I started walking toward it without deciding to. That's when the headlights of another car appeared behind me, a blue SUV. It slowed, stopped beside me. The driver rolled down her window, eyes wide. "You seeing that too?" she said. I nodded, speechless. We both looked up again, and now the triangle was rotating slowly, its lights pulsing in sequence. Not like aircraft lights, these were alive, bleeding color. Then came the beam. A pale column of light dropped from its center, touching the desert floor, maybe a quarter mile ahead. The sand glowed. I remember the smell, like ozone after lightning. The woman in the SUV whispered something, maybe a prayer. I took one step closer, and the hum rose in pitch until it wasn't a sound anymore, but a pressure behind my eyes. I stumbled back. The beam cut off. The lights blinked once, twice, and the thing was gone. No acceleration, no trail. Just vanished, as if it had blinked sideways out of existence. We stood there in the silence, our breathing the only sound. Then the radio popped back to life, My phone buzzed with notifications all at once. The clock on the dashboard now read 1:42 a.m., but I swear less than 10 minutes had passed. I asked the woman the time. She said her watch showed to 13. We'd both lost nearly half an hour. Later that morning, after I drove home, I tried to sleep. Couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that triangle rotating above me. By afternoon, I filed a report with Newfork. They called me 2 days later. Calm voice on the other end, asking for details, duration, color, size. The man said there had been 2 other reports that night from the same stretch of highway. "Anything else you recall?" he asked. I mentioned the missing time. He went quiet, then said, "That happens sometimes." Over the next week, strange things started happening. My truck's battery died twice, though it was new. Streetlights flickered when I drove under them. One evening, I found a thin line burned into the paint on my Huda perfect equilateral triangle. No scratches, no residue. I told no one except my brother, who laughed until I showed him. then he didn't. A few days later, a man knocked on my door. Grey suit, short haircut, no badge. Said he was from a research division following up on aerial anomalies. He already knew the details of my New Fork report. Asked if I still had the footage. I told him I never filmed anything. He just nodded and said, "Sometimes that's for the best." When he left, I wrote down his license plate. It came back unregistered. I kept digging. New Fork logs from that week showed multiple sightings across Nevada, Utah, and California. Same shape, same lights, same silent hovering. Civilian pilots reported radar blips that appeared and disappeared instantly. One account from a rancher near Tonopah described cattle refusing to leave their pens the following morning, as if they sensed something. Reading those entries felt like finding pages from my own diary written by strangers. I tried to move on, but the nights wouldn't let me. I began dreaming of that beam of light. In the dreams I'm standing beneath it, weightless, unable to look away. I wake up drenched in sweat, hearing that hum again. Once, I woke to find my phone recording audio on its own 10 minutes of static, punctuated by a single loud pop. When I played it backward, there was a voice. I couldn't make out the words, but it wasn't human cadence. 2 months later, the woman from the SUV found me through the New Fork forums. Her name was Emily. We met in a diner outside Las Vegas, both of us nervous. She looked exhausted, said she'd been having the same dreams. She told me something else her car's dashcam had been recording that night, but the file corrupted. Only the first minute remained, showing the road, then a flash of white before everything froze. She showed me the video on her phone. In the single frozen frame, there was a faint outline above the highway. You could see the triangle reflected in her windshield. We decided to return to the site together. It was late November, cold and empty. The place looked normal, just desert and power. We walked the shoulder until we found where the beam had touched down. The sand there looked fused, glassy, like someone had melted it with a torch. Emily knelt, brushed her fingers over it, and gasped. Embedded just beneath the surface was a small fragment of metal, dark grey with a sheen like oil on water. We dug it out. It was light, almost weightless, edges smooth but warm to the touch. We took it back to my truck. I contacted a friend from the university who had access to a materials lab. We sent it for analysis without details. A week later he called, sounding uneasy. "Whatever this is," he said, "it's not any alloy I can identify. Ratios are strange." Then his voice dropped. "I'd rather not have my name attached to this." That night, someone broke into my house. Nothing stolen. Just the box where the fragment had been empty. No prints, no damage, just gone. Emily's phone stopped working the same week. She said she kept hearing a high tone whenever she tried to call me. Then she vanished, her number disconnected. New Fork said they had no record of her report anymore. By January, I started noticing cars idling near my street at odd hours. Same grey sedans, no plates. Once I caught a glimpse of one driver, dark glasses, even at night. When I stepped outside, the car rolled away silently. I thought about going to the police, but what would I say? I saw something over the desert, and now ghosts in suits are following me. I considered contacting journalists, but something stopped me, the sense that whatever had happened wasn't finished yet. I began recording everything, just in case. Then, one night in February, I awoke to that same hum vibrating through the house. The clock read 3:17 a.m., lights flickered. Outside, The desert horizon was glowing pale blue. I stepped onto the porch. There it was, again the triangle, lower this time, almost level with the mountains. I felt the pull, that same pressure behind my eyes. I raised my phone, started recording. The screen went white, then black. When it came back, the sky was empty. In the morning, I checked the footage. It showed 15 seconds of static, then a single frame of the craft clearer than before. 3 lights, triangular, texture like polished stone. In the middle, a dark circle, almost like an eye. The next frame was blank. When I uploaded it to my laptop, the file corrupted instantly. I sent a copy to Newfork again. They never replied. The entry never appeared on their site. Weeks later, I tried calling the number the man had used before. Disconnected. But I found a cached version of their monthly report. 2 witnesses in Nevada reported identical lights at the same time as my second encounter. Their names were redacted. By spring, I was barely sleeping. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt watched. The hum followed me even in silence inside elevators, power lines, the hiss of air. Once, driving through Vegas, every billboard flickered to static as I passed. Maybe coincidence, maybe not. Then came the final incident. Late May, I'd gone camping near Groom Lake, determined to face it again, maybe prove to myself it had been hallucination. Around 2 a.m., my dog started growling, staring at the sky. I looked up and saw a formation of lights stretching across the stars, not moving like satellites, but weaving, intersecting. Then one broke formation, descended fast, and stopped 30 feet above the ground. Same triangle, smaller, silent. My flashlight died instantly. The air turned syrup thick. I couldn't move. Something flickered within the craft, like shadows moving behind tinted glass. Then, a voice not heard, but felt inside my head. We've always been here. I blacked out. When I woke, the sun was rising. My dog was gone. My watch was missing 3 hours. On the ground beside me was another Mark III. Small circles burned into the dirt, forming a perfect triangle. My truck started on the first try. I drove home, shaking, feeling like I'd left part of myself out there. I tried to report it again, but Newfork's site kept timing out. Finally, I received an automated reply. Thank you for your submission. Due to the volume of reports, responses may be delayed. That was months ago. Now it's November again, a full year since the first night. I still live near the desert, though I don't drive that road anymore. Sometimes, when the wind dies and the sky turns that hard metallic blue before dawn, I hear the hum faintly, far off. And sometimes the streetlights outside my window flash 3 times in perfect rhythm, as if reminding me they haven't forgotten. I've learned that others who reported the same event have disappeared, online posts deleted, accounts wiped. Even Emily's diner burnt down last month. The news called it an accident, so I keep this recording hidden, waiting for the right moment to release it. Maybe that moment is now, maybe it's when they come again. Because if I vanish too, someone has to know that it started here, in the quiet between Alamo and Rachel, where the desert ends and the sky begins to breathe. Whatever they are, they're still out there. They move when no one's looking, watching the watchers. And if you ever find yourself alone on that road and your radio dies and the air starts to hum, don't look up. Because once you see them, they see you. And once they see you, They don't forget.